On this week's episode of the Superhero Show, we'll find out if an older Scott Pilgrim is really this show's forte, if Gideon or Julie deserve love, and if Yusuke will find all three of his dangerous objects on Yu Yu Hakusho. All of that and more on an all-new episode of the Superhero Show. Hello, nerds, and welcome to the Superhero Show, the only podcast that covers every single live-action TV show based on the comic book and any of the animated ones we feel like, which is good, because right now that's mostly what's out there. I'm your host for this evening, Mike Gravano, and with me is my boon companion, the one who's there when I'm scared in the middle of the night. It's McKenna, a.k.a. Bugs.
That is me. I'm always just creeping. When people are scared in the middle of the night, I will just perch on nightstands.
And it's good that your friends are dumb because they're like, oh, you're here to comfort me, not realizing that maybe you're the friggin' reason why people are scared in the middle of the night.
It never occurs to them that I could be the cause of the panic. Mm-hmm. Just that I'm a brilliant, caring friend.
Yeah, they're like, wow, she came here so quickly when my heart was pounding and I screamed. Mm-hmm. Not being like,
like
she was perched like some sort of demon bird. Have you seen the movie Paranormal Activity?
I have seen bits of it. I've never seen it all the way through.
Okay, there's in the it ramps up right in the middle of it. The woman who's being slowly possessed gets up in the middle of the night and sleepwalks and just stands looking straight down at her fiance for hours. And that's what I imagine you do to all of us.
I had a friend in high school who would do things like that, and I woke up to her hovering over me, and she just screamed birds in my face when I opened my eyes. So that was fun.
She was asleep?
She was asleep. I woke up, and she screamed birds. We were having a sleepover, and my other friend was very used to this behavior and just put her hand up and shoved her face away. It was like, stop this.
That's awesome. So. That's the best way to deal with it. One of my brothers had night terrors growing up, which is horrifying for everybody else because he wakes up saying some demonic, creepy shit. Mm-hmm. And he was also, I love him now, he's a lovely guy, but he was a monster and a bully and would hum the Halloween theme song while chasing us slowly around with knives. So you're always like, is he going through a night terror and I need to be thoughtful, or is he being a fucking prick right now?
That's fun. That's a fun little game to play with. How careful do I tread around this nightmare person?
I don't want to ostracize anybody, but maybe those people shouldn't be allowed at sleepovers.
I didn't have night terrors, but I did sleepwalk as a child. But I was such a paranoid nerd that my sleepwalking stemmed from school anxiety, and all of my sleepwalking was me trying to go downstairs to do homework.
I need to do more homework.
And my parents just try to corral me back to bed.
When is the last time you slept walked?
I think I was 13.
Oh, okay. It's been a minute.
It's been a long time. And I had gotten a really bad flu. So it was a feverish induced sleepwalk at that time. But I did try to get ready for school at 3 a.m. And parents definitely woke up to the shower. To
reveal behind the curtain, you still work near schools. Let's say. And I was curious if you ever had the opposite of a professor anxiety and you're in the middle, you're waking up and you're preparing a PowerPoint.
Yeah, just all of a sudden writing out some lecture notes.
Yeah.
Scrambled thoughts. That would be great.
McKenna, are you ready to just dig in? It's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve and or Christmas Day when you're listening to this.
And what better way than for us to just do a little deep dive?
Yeah. I assume our listeners are shoveling snow. That's hard. Shoveling snow, walking a dog, escaping the family somehow. Mm-hmm. What is you're in the middle of the holidays? What's your go-to? I got to get away from the family right now.
Oh, well, now that I have a kid, it's actually a lot easier.
Scapegoat. Yeah.
It's usually just this is a bit overwhelming. I'm just going to take my child to a quiet place. Or it's, I'm overwhelmed. I need a moment as a mom, and I just get to walk away. You get to do that as a parent. You get to be like, go be with the grandparents or the aunts and uncles or your cousins and be like, I need a minute, and just leave. So that is my go-to. Before I would offer to do some like random errand and then hide in the laundry room because no one checks there.
You're like, oh yeah, I'll get the beer from the garage fridge and then just hang out for a while.
Yeah. So.
Smart. Well, this year you get to hang out with us, lovely listener, and we are going to be talking about Yu Yu Hakusho. But first, episodes 6 and 7 of Scott Pilgrim takes off. In episodes 6 and 7 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, Ramona moves on to her next suspects, Julie and Gideon/Gordon. Gordon, however, has turned over a new leaf and is too busy celebrating a bromance with Lucas Lee to fulfill evil plans. Meanwhile, Knives charms Matthew into funding a Broadway show, and young Neil admits he did not write the screenplay. Before Ramona can move on to her next suspect, Scott returns, and reveals it was not an evil ex, but his future self that faked his own death and pulled at him to stop his relationship with Ramona from ever progressing. But then future Ramona intervenes by writing that screenplay to show Scott the relationship was worth fighting for. Taste buds, I ask you this. Is future Ramona showing growth by fighting for her relationship, or is she delusional to think future old Scott has potential?
I think this was the moment for me where I realized my hope for Ramona is kind of lost, that she's just as dumb as the rest of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know if this was for you. Do you still feel like she's the best of?
I still think she's better and smarter than all of them. I guess it's that in the present or the past, she's smarter, and then she just has decades of knowledge we don't have of why this is worth it. And especially because future Scott is like, it should never happen because we had 13 great years, but then we got divorced. And I'm a believer that all relationships will fail. Call me a romantic. I think all relationships will fail, but the good you get out of them while they're not failing is worth everything.
But she doesn't believe that, though, because she still... well, I guess maybe she does. Maybe she has the same viewpoint. All relationships are going to fail, but they are the good.
Right now, from the episodes we've watched... in this episode we're recording, who knows her end goal, but it does feel like I think, again, so like, real talk, my parents divorced before I was a year old, so I think 13 years is great.
Is an accomplishment.
Yeah, like that's, I don't have that in my life.
My parents have been together for 34 years now.
Gross. I don't get that. Why would you do that?
And they're like sickeningly romantic together. So
that's so weird to me.
Yeah. And to me, what we've seen of future old Scott, worth fighting for?
I don't think he is. He's off his rocker.
But is it because he lost Ramona that he's off his rocker?
Right. And when they were good, they were great. And isn't that worth it?
That's fair. That is fair. You might be restoring my faith and my hope in Ramona, because I was really disappointed.
Well, it's also like, oh, because something bad happens in the future, let's change our entire life. Feels
I'm not
naive.
on old Scott's side for like stopping the relationship.
Right.
It just, I think I think I was just disappointed in future Ramona being like, no, everything. But you've made a compelling argument that the 13 years we didn't see them. So
we didn't see them, and I think we get a quick flash, right? Like of like tidbits of because future Scott, played by Will Forte, which is great, has like this VR thing, and it's showing a very 8-bit version of the past, and then what his life with Ramona was like, and it seems fine.
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
It doesn't seem what?
It doesn't seem like this horrible. Like, I think my biggest concern is that future Scott seems to still be as annoying and like unintelligent as current Scott in his like thinking, and that's why I'm wondering if he's not worth it. Like, there's no growth, but maybe he did grow in those 13 years and then regressed back to young Scott. So.
Which, having been around of a lot of marriages and divorces in my life, that happens. Sometimes people regress and forget the growth they made when they were with somebody romantically. And we don't find out why they divorced. It's probably because Scott was an idiot.
Odds are this was a Scott error.
Given the information we've learned, he's probably an idiot. The other great romance of these two episodes is Gideon Gordon and Lucas Lee. How do we like these bros broing down?
Delightful. It was an absolutely delightful montage of them bonding over both their interests, which I thought was just fantastic. It was not one-sided. It was not, shallow or even like there's no one better to be around. It was truly like, you are the best company I could find right now. Like, this is what I want.
And it starts off awesome. Gideon is like laid out on the couch and is just like chips are all over his face. And Lucas calls him and he asks for forgiveness for like bailing on him in the League of and Gideon says, "Forgiveness is what you want? I have something totally different in mind. It's very maniacal and evil." And he goes, "Friendship." And then that's when the montage starts of them building a skateboard ramp together, playing paintball inside, watching a lot of anime. What else do they do? Does that cover it? It's 90 minutes. We learned in 90 minutes in their world.
Yeah. That's the main bit. I feel like there's one more thing that they did that...
It fucks up Julie's house.
It fucks up Julie's house, and they both adopt No Fear clothing.
Yes, they start wearing No Fear 90s clothing. And we find out that Gordon Gideon was called Fearless in school because he always wore no fear, but it was not a cool nickname.
It was an ironic...
And then we talk about we've gotten all these like flashbacks, right? So we get some flashback, but it's not to Ramona's relationship. It's to Julie and Gideon as kids. Did you buy that they're romance now because he was a mocked dork? Are they trying to sell their relationship that we should care about these days?
Well, I don't think so. I think they're a little confused on what they're trying to pitch, because Julie was like, "I never forgot him," but she's actually only attracted to him if he's evil.
Yeah.
She hates this nice version of him, which is
That's
the version
true.
of him she knew as a high schooler.
Huh.
He wasn't evil and plotting until he got rejected.
And I wonder if he's only ambitious when he's evil, and she's attracted to his ambition. And so I don't think she loves that he's evil necessarily, but it's that those two things are very linked.
Yeah. That he gets his drive when he's concocting evil payback schemes. I do think that is, but yeah, I just felt I liked the backstory we got, but then when it was like, that's why I've always thought of him, I was like, but why? I
like this show, but I think that's I think it's good, but what keeps it from being great is they do some hand wavy stuff, and they're like, instead of
they'll buy it.
Yeah, it's a goofy cartoon, so don't care about the relationships, but the show's actually about relationships.
I think I would have liked it more if Julie was like, and now I'm on a mission to help him rebuild his empire.
Right.
As opposed to, he's back to the guy I initially always thought about from high school. If they had just changed the dialogue a little bit to that, it's such a simple fix.
Right. Don't change the plot. Just change the line. And then
just change the line.
How did you enjoy the interactions between young Scott, who is not dead, and old Scott? Going around the future house of Wallace Wells' husband.
They're like... It lines up so well, because in my mind, I was thinking old Scott should be understanding what young Scott believes is happening. Young Scott's like, this is our house, and old Scott makes but they're so dumb, even though they're so in the same head, but they're still so stupid that they don't think this is how young me is thinking.
Right.
And it actually creates another layer of lack of depth, I guess, that's really working well for those moments of conversation.
Yes, and showing the dumbness is when old Scott is showing young Scott the VR montage of their life. The little robot who we are starting to realize is important is showing up everywhere. Young Scott goes, "So Ramona dated a robot. That's progressive." Yeah. And old Scott does not necessarily quickly fix him of that notion.
No, just moves along. Just like, yeah, go for it.
Well, because he's very excited to tell him they got married, and then they got to meet a minion and Optimus fucking Prime on their honeymoon in Orlando.
It's a big deal.
What was your moment of the week for these 2 episodes?
We've already talked about it quite a lot, but it was the Lucas, Lee, and Gordon BFF montage.
Mm-hmm.
It was that. It was their matching No Fear shirts. And it happened so early on, but I feel like that's still like the big takeaway that I had, which it's not the biggest thing, but I just thought it was done well, and it was fun to watch.
It really was. I have 2 that are back to back by the same character. Alison Pill is the actress. I can't remember the drummer's name right now, but she's the drummer of Sex Bob-omb. And she had 2 lines that really got me. Somebody's like, "What is Ramona doing?" And she says, "She's been skating all around asking stupid people smart questions." And I was like, that is perfect encapsulation of the show. And then right before Scott shows up, she says, "So, about to be reunited with that guy you've been on one date with?" And it's just like, yes, this show is absurd. Why do we care about any of this?
Exactly. Why are you so deeply obsessed with...
Right.
Yeah. But there was a spark.
There was a spark. And
That's
sparks do exist. Before we move on, you've been talking about a website. What is that all about?
This website is all about... Fuck. This website is for when you don't know what to say. It generates dialogue for you.
Oh, that's so smart. So you're like, I need to stall for time.
I need to stall for time. You just tap it and it'll randomize. So you can kind of tap it a few times. If it's like so not related, if it's commentary on like great weather and it's a fucking blizzard, you can just tap it again and it'll like fill with related thing. And you can preset it. So you're going into conversations with certain people. Select certain topics that are a go, certain topics that are not appropriate whatsoever.
So like a conversational specific chat GPT.
Exactly.
Kind of. I think people need this. Generative AI is all the rage. I want you to succeed. I'm going to send you to my friend cybersprout.net because they're all about collaborative work and helping you build WordPress-based websites. It's goal-driven design, so you know to look good. Speed optimization, backup, security, maintenance, all the things you don't want to handle, they'll handle that for you. That is cybersprout.net, your partner for digital world. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, every other show that came out this week. Now it is the pull list, where we talk about every other show that came out this week. This week it's just one. It is Yu Yu Hakusho. On the second and third episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, Rogue Yokai steals 3 dangerous objects. As Yasuki grapples with his new powers, children playing at a park mysteriously collapse to the ground. And later, Koenma assigns him a powerful mentor to help with training. Tasty Books, I ask you this. What would your training montage song be?
Oh, that's a good one. And I think I'm going to have to go with like a T-Swift song.
Sure.
Which
one?
Ingrained in me. Top of my head, it's Anahiro.
Sure.
That's coming off because I think it's boppy, but it also like ignites, like the drive that like, hey, you're a fuck up, so fix it is the like message. And I need that focus of like, you cause your problem, so now go ahead and fight for something worth
I love that. What is the song? Is it just called Look What You Made Me Do? Is that does she have a song called that? That's a real petty one. So you could be like getting swollen. It's like, look what you made me do, whoever made you have to train montage.
That is my favorite petty song too. When I'm feeling real. Yeah. Like it just pops into my head when I'm like feeling that like passive aggressiveness rise up in me, and I'm gonna
as their car is on fire behind you, slowly walking away.
Mm-hmm. It's a regular moment in my life.
Yu Yu Hakusho is on Netflix, and that is our show this week. Before we get out of here, can you tell the lovely listeners about some websites?
Absolutely. If you want to find out more about this show, the host, anything you want, go to popfilter.co, and that is where you will find all sorts of great content. And if you're doing a little shopping on Amazon, you're going to want to go to popfilter.co/Amazon and do all your shopping on that tab. That way it'll help out this show.
Hell yeah. And if you want more from us, audio-wise, check out Movie of the Year, where we fight every season to determine the best movie that year. We are wrapping up 1973. I believe Coffee just came out, and that means this week you'll hear American Graffiti. I hope I'm right on that. Movie of the year. You can hit us up on Instagram at YourPopFilter. You can email us, contact@popfilter.co. Those are all the ways to get in touch with us. We will be back next week with the finale of Scott Pilgrim and the finale of Yu Yu Hakusho. For McKenna, Mike, for Mike and McKenna, those are all the names I have to say this week. Enough said.